Wait, what? I can do that? This is Eric Bell with Wait, what? Financial matters that matter for business and the people that own them. I'm fortunate today to have Frank Garcia with me of Insurance KO. Thanks for being here, Frank.
Oh, I'm excited to be here and share.
You know, you've had your business, Frank, since 1996, so I'm not going to go into your background too deep. I will say this, though. I referred a client to you not too long ago, probably about a month ago, and they are extremely happy. Electrical company, you probably remember them.
Yes, in fact, we're working on right now to get their plan in place and for November 1st.
Well, you know, when I met with him and talked to him, he couldn't say enough good things about you, so I really appreciate that. You've done nothing but good work, and your staff is excellent. You guys hold everybody by the hand and take care of them, so I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
You know, what are some of the biggest challenges that you're seeing today that small businesses are facing in regards to healthcare insurance?
Well, the biggest face that a business owner has today and the problems that they have is shortage of qualified employees. We do not have enough qualified employees out there that in the technical, in the manufacturing, in the, say, the machine shop industry to keep up with the work orders that are coming into these companies. And then you're looking at the other issue is it's the cost of hiring and the training, because now you're bringing in young individuals or inexperienced individuals who need to learn how to do the job properly. And so you're having to be almost a mentor to them, to train them and get them to qualified work so that you now can have an employee that you can turn over work to and not worry about having comebacks, problems with it.
You know, in regards to group benefits, you know, how do you guys help people or employers with group benefits?
Well, we utilize group benefits to help employers to attract and retain qualified employees. And in doing so, that helps you as an employer to stand head and shoulders above your competition because you're providing a benefit that every household, every mother, father, children need to protect the risk when they have a health problem. Doing so, you're allowing for these employees, if they're paying a percentage of it, to pay for it with pre-tax dollars instead of having to pay for it with after-tax dollars. And the employer is allowed to deduct the cost that he's paying for you as an employee as an employer deduction, which is extremely beneficial. Again, it allows you to attract and retain qualified employees.
Why don't people go to the exchange basically for their employee benefits or send their employees to the exchange for their benefits now that we have the Affordable Health Care Act?
We see that happening a lot, although there's a great reduction in people going to the exchange. And the reason for that is that basically you cannot pay for your benefits with pre-tax dollars. So add 20, 30%, say if you're paying $500 for your health care, add 20% to that, that's another $100. That same health plan that you're buying on a group basis, costing you $500, would now cost you through the exchange $600.
Mm-hmm.
That's how expensive it is.
Wow.
And they don't have total providers. You know, the exchange doesn't have all the providers that are available through traditional group health insurance. And their quality of service doesn't meet the par from most people or most business owners. It's difficult to get into them on the phone. It's difficult to get things processed. So it has problems that meet the public and the employer's needs from a service aspect.
You know, it seems like the benefits it's a big undertaking for an employer and is always changing. You know, tell me, how does Insurance KO help make that easier for an employer?
Well, working with us, with all of our employer groups and employees, we definitely provide a claim service. They have problems getting claims paid, bring it to us, we'll get it resolved. If you have an employee that's terminated or quits, we allow and work with the employer and handle the COBRA processing, which is a huge deal. Mm-hmm. Because employees want to continue their coverage. If an employer has additions of new employees or deletions of new employees, we work directly with their HR department to make sure the employee gets brought on at the right time and he's taken off at the correct time. We help them resolve billing issues. Sometimes you have an employee that, quits the very end of the month. Well, guess what? He's going to show up on your billing the next month also. So are you going to pay that premium and worry about getting a credit back? We help you get that done. And one of the biggest things we're using now for employer groups is online enrollment. So by doing so, we can gather all the data from you on a census, an Excel census, and upload it into the system. So now your employees can go directly to their own private emails and enroll in the program, or waive the program, or change the benefits that they're being offered. So that's a huge benefit that employers are looking to improve the efficiency of enrolling their employees in benefits. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know the employer that I referred you to, the electric company, they really appreciate that process because it kept their guys in the field. And plus, when they got home, they could talk to their wives about what they really wanted or what their wife wanted in terms of benefits and so forth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was real good. Everything right now is so highly regulated. I mean, I'm just thinking from a compliance standpoint, there's a bunch of issues that some employers need to be aware of. Can you speak towards that?
The first one that comes to mind is the SPD, or the Summary of Plan Description. Summary Plan Description is basically telling your employees what plans are being offered, what benefits are being offered, what the waiting period is, what your contribution is. And most employers don't have this. They do the open enrollment, and that's pretty much where it is. The other compliance issue is the WRAP, W-R-A-P program, which goes around the SPD, Summary Plan Description, and it is continuously updated on an annual basis when you change benefits. If you don't change benefits, then it doesn't have to be updated. So these are things that we work with employers on. And one thing that we do that's real, I think, beneficial to employers, because a lot of the stuff they don't know where they're at on. So what we try to do is offer a free compliance audit, HR compliance audit. That way they understand their deficiencies and how to improve upon those and get more in order with compliance. Another thing that's going on right now that's a big issue is harassment training. Any employer group with 5 or more employees has to have harassment training for starting January 1st, 2020. That's what we face going into the new year.
So if you're out of compliance, if you're not compliant, I'm assuming there's fees and penalties that go along with that from both the state and federal government.
Exactly.
How significant are they from your experience?
Well, they can be in hundreds or thousands of dollars depending on the number of days that you're out of compliance.
Wow.
And the number of employees.
So let's talk about rates. It seems like people are complaining about rates all the time. I know my wife and I, we pay quite a bit for our medical insurance. We complain about it, but we pay it because we feel like we have to. Are rates always going to go up, or how does that work?
Definitely, I would say rates on a trend consistently go up anywhere between 1% and 3%. And the reason for that is because we have an aging population of workforce. If you look at the number of employees that are going into the 50s and 60s for retirement, there are a greater number of those than there is the 20s and 30s and 40s coming into the workforce. And that in itself is an increasing cost on medical care for prescriptions, for surgeries, for chronic illnesses, etc. Because the older you are, more likely, more tendency, your health is deteriorating. So the costs is going to continue to go up with an aging population.
I was just wondering, so I'll use myself as an example. We don't hardly go to the doctor. We go to the doctor when we need to for checkups, but we don't have surgeries and things of that sort. What are some of the things that groups can do to mitigate these increases, or an individual can do to mitigate the increases?
That's a good question. The options that you have now is all of the employer groups that have the benefits, either through Anthem, Blue Cross, United Healthcare, they have what they call is a light network, meaning the network is not completely full of all of the medical providers, the major hospitals, the major doctors, the major specialists, the major medical groups. They're a slim network. Now, if your doctor is part of that slim network, the cost for you to be under that health coverage with that slim network is less expensive than being with a full network of providers. So that's one way to do it. Another way to do it is to provide HSA plans to employees and their family. You can contribute, up to $7,000, a little more sometimes, for an HSA plan for the family, and that's all pre-tax dollars.
Can you explain a little bit more what an HSA plan is? I don't know.
That's a health savings account.
Okay. So you're putting money into it ahead of time.
First of all, you have to have a high deductible health plan.
Okay.
Okay. High deductible health plan is a plan that ranges, depending on the issue, normally between $1,500 to $2,000 deductible. With that kind of a high deductible health plan, the provider qualifies the plan as an HSA plan. Once the plan is qualified as an HSA plan, then you can take that qualification to an HSA provider. There's a lot of providers that provide it, and then they will open an account for you, somewhat similar like a bank account, okay, a savings or checking account. And it's all electronically. You can fund it with money, and then when you go get a prescription, or you have a doctor's visit for a copay, or you have to pay a deductible, anything that's related to health care. Some people don't even realize this, but the HSA plan can also be used for eyeglasses, okay, for over-the-counter medication that you need, this type of stuff. Then you use your HSA account to pay for it. Of course, now the savings is there. The high deductible health plan is less expensive than a real rich $20 copay and $500 deductible health plan. Those are more expensive. So you're saving money on that. If you're healthy, HSA plans are very, very valuable tool. And if you don't use the money in the HSA plan, you can use it for retirement, or you can use it for a Medicare benefit in the future, paying Medicare premiums or paying Medicare cost for prescriptions, etc. And if you still didn't use it, if you just took the money out, you would just pay ordinary income tax on it. So some people fund them completely, plan on using it for future retirement benefit.
So, I know I worked at a couple bigger companies that had the HSA option. Can a smaller company have that? Is it purely deductible driven, or is it size driven, company size driven?
No, I mean, you can have an HSA plan down to an employer group with 2 or more employees.
Okay. All right. Because I know a lot of people think it's for big companies, but it's for anybody. When I think about your process, and I'm still going back to my client that I recently referred to you, because that's the most recent one in my mind.
Yes.
He just bragged about your process. Can you talk about your process from the time that you're introduced to someone, what the steps are that you take? Because you were personally involved with this, and I know a couple of your other people were, but take me through the process in terms of someone calling Insurance KO and what you guys do and how you do it.
Well, the thing that's I think that brings value to the employer is that we take the time and listen.
Okay.
What are you trying to accomplish? Are you trying to give a very rich benefit plan to retain and attract the high cost employee that's searching all the time? Because if he goes to a major employer, he can get a greater benefit. That's the first place. And a lot of employers are not faced with that, but they don't realize that sometimes, most of the time, they are faced with that issue. They just don't realize it. In this situation, they were looking for something that was low cost, inexpensive health plan to cover the major risk. Let's all be real. I mean, if you had a major health problem, as they were mentioning, and it cost, the out-of-pocket expense for maximum out-of-pocket expense hit $7,000, some way, some shape, some form, we could all figure out how to get that paid over time. But guess what? If you didn't have health care and the claim was $150,000, you might have a medical bill that you're paying the rest of your life.
Right.
Now, that being said, they were a perfect candidate, which we're going to implement and propose to them a very unique benefit that we're offering to employers now. I've had wonderful success with it, is employers that are offering high deductible health plans, and they're not real expensive, but they're covering the major risk that an employer wants. The difficulty with that is, which we're showing employers now, is to create what we call as a bridge plan. A bridge plan. What if I have an accident? Do I get paid to have an accident? No, if you don't have any other coverage, you got to pay for it. Well, some options you can utilize is that we're utilizing the Aflac programs and implementing accident plans, which pays up to $300-$400, maybe even more if you have an accident, to go to the emergency room or pay for your deductibles, your copays. Then also, you have in-hospital coverage. They're going to pay you $1,000-$1,200 if you have to be admitted into a hospital. That type of thing. Also cancer. Cancer is tremendous scare to most families, most employers about their employees. You don't have just one expense with cancer. You have ongoing expenses. The cancer plan plays very healthy, several $1,000s upon diagnosis and also paying for treatment. And the other one that's a real benefit is the short-term disability. And we realize in looking at the cost and the expenses living here in Southern California, there's not a whole lot of people that have several $1,000s sitting in the bank just to replace their income for 2 or 3 weeks. Where this short-term disability plan works very well. It'll pay up to, depending on your income, up to $6,000 a month. You qualify for it. It pays in excess of what state disability pays. So that's a wonderful, wonderful benefit. And we're seeing a lot of employers interested in this. And the one final piece that I think is very unique with this type of bridge and ancillary product support for these higher cost deductible health plans is the accident health plan. Employers do not realize that if they have an accident health plan, the likelihood of their employee coming in on a Monday morning and falsifying a workers' comp claim is driven down by at least 50% reduction. Right. Because why would they want to falsify a claim when they're going to get several $100s for the accident, first dollar coverage within 7 to 14 days or less is a lot better than going through all of the rigmarole and difficulty trying to file a workers' comp claim and falsify it. So that's been a wonderful, wonderful benefit for employers.
Well, I'm thinking also for their kids, too. If you got a kid who's playing weekend sports and they break their leg or something, Aflac is quick to step in and take care of that. Yeah.
Pick up first dollar coverage.
That's right.
Exactly. Especially when you have, deductibles that are $1,000 or $1,500 or $2,000 where you got to pay first dollar coverage if you didn't have an accident health plan. So that's been a win-win for employers.
Okay. So Aflac, the way you define it, kind of a gap insurance. Is that the way you define it?
Exactly.
Okay.
A bridge, a gap insurance.
Okay. All right. I appreciate you coming in, Frank. Is there anything that I should know more about medical insurance, healthcare insurance, group benefits that you could share with us?
Well, the main thing is that I think it's important to make known to employers that if your employees are offered group health coverage, make sure they either take the coverage or they waive their coverage. They put in a waiver. And the reason for that is that you don't want an employee coming back to you when he realizes now that he's come down 6 weeks, 6 months later with some kind of health problem and you don't have proof in his file that you offered him coverage and that he waived the coverage.
Wow, I didn't even think about that.
And now the employee comes back and says, this Mr. Employer never offered me coverage. I should have had it 6 months ago. And if I did, I'd be covered for this medical problem that I have currently. So, as an employer, we're the entrepreneurs of the nation. We are the leaders, founders. We carve the path for all of us to exist and work. And the small business owner makes up, the largest percentage of employers in the nation. 85% have employees, 50 or less employees. So it's important, stick together, help each other, and look out for the issues that can affect you. Cover your risk by doing it properly. And we can help you with that here at Insurance KO.
Now, tell me how you came up with Insurance KO, the name.
Well, that's an interesting story, but I'll give you a short version. I came out of college boxing and playing football and boxing as an amateur, fought for 4 years as an amateur. Then I came to California, LA in 82 and turned pro and had a short stint as a professional. And actually one of my fights is on YouTube that I got some success. Everything shined out upon me and I won the fight in a knockout. And now it's on YouTube and I didn't even know it. But I thought to myself, a business owner said to me, he says, you got a fabulous story. Interesting. Wow. Gosh, he said, you should name your company Knockout Insurance or Insurance KO. So there's where it came.
All right.
Yeah.
That's a good story.
It's interesting. Yeah, it has a good story behind it.
Oh, yeah. Well, to get hold of Frank, thanks for coming in, first of all. But to get hold of Frank, please email me at eb@wait-what.biz or give me a call at 714-643-2500, and I'm at extension 420. Thanks for coming in, Frank.
Definitely. Enjoyed it.